The war hasn't ended, the tension hasn't cooled, and just before the next crucial meeting, the rules are already changing. Ladies and gentlemen, in a fresh development, the United States has introduced new conditions ahead of the upcoming talks with Iran, with next round expected to take place in Pakistan again. Now, this is not just another diplomatic meeting, but a high-stakes attempt to prevent further escalation after earlier negotiations failed to produce any concrete outcome. Well, the previous round of talks, they reportedly stretched for hours, including their senior officials, negotiators, security experts, but ended up with a disagreement. Key disagreements remained unresolved though, particularly around Iran's nuclear program, their regional security concern, their control over critical maritime route. Now, as both the sides prepare to return to the table, the environment has become far more intense and the expectations, they are much higher. But wait, what makes this particular moment even more critical is the shift in Washington's approach here. By placing new terms before the talks even begin, the United States appears to be increasing pressure on Iran to make concessions here. While the exact detail of these conditions, they are not fully public, analysts believe that they could involve stricter actions on Iran's nuclear activity, enhanced monitoring mechanism, and possibly changes in how Iran really operates in strategic vision here. Well, this particular move, it signals that the United States is not willing to return to earlier framework without any significant changes. And at the very same time, diplomacy is unfolding alongside strong military positioning here. The US has already increased its presence in the region with naval deployment and enforcement action around the key waterway, adding to the pressure here. Can you imagine this dual approach? Negotiations backed by military strength. It has kind of created a complex situation where talks are happening under visible strategic tension. Now let's flip the coin. Iran, on the other hand, has shown caution in its approach. Officials have indicated that while they are open to dialogue, they are unlikely to accept conditions that they view as one-sided or against their national interest. Well, the history of past agreements, including those that collapsed or were withdrawn from, it has contributed to the deep mistrust between the two sides. This makes the upcoming talks even more delicate, as both the countries will be negotiating not just terms, but also credibility and long-term commitment. Also, the choice of Pakistan as the venue, it adds another layer to this whole scenario. As a country with diplomatic ties in the region, Pakistan is being seen as a neutral ground where both the sides can engage in discussions. However, hosting such high-stakes talk, it also places responsibility on ensuring that the dialogue remains constructive and secure here. Now, if we talk about the world, globally, the whole situation is being closely monitored because of its potential impact. Here, any breakthrough, it could ease the tensions in the West Asia and it can stabilize global energy market. While failure, it could lead to further escalation, affecting oil prices, affecting oil supplies, trade routes, international security. Investors, government, policy experts, all are watching for any sign from these talks. Well, there is still a possibility that diplomacy can succeed as both the sides have their own reasons to avoid a prolonged conflict. However, the introduction of new terms before negotiations begin, it has raised question about whether this will help more discussions forward or create additional hurdles. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as the next round of talks approaches, the whole situation remains unclear. The coming days will be very important in determining whether these negotiations can lead to progress or whether they will deepen the divide. For now, the world is watching very closely, knowing that the outcome of these talks, it could shape the direction of the ongoing crisis and its wider global consequences.